On the bottom, it says stop broadcast. This Hangout on air is live. All right. Okay, so I'm going to butcher it. Pavneet.
Spot on.
All right, I keep wanting to say Pavneet. I think that's how Americans would probably pronounce your name if they just read it as it's typed. Pavneet. Okay, so I'm familiar. I am not interviewing you. We're just having a discussion, right?
Right up.
When you're dealing with me, there's no real agenda. Things are just random and scatterbrained. But yeah, I think I stumbled across you. I think when I did my first episode on Developer on Fire, and you were one out of a couple people that were like really supportive, you know. And I started checking out your blog. I don't think I've read any blog thoroughly from top to bottom, but I think you decided to help people adapt to. Correct me if I'm butchering it, but emotional intelligence, or is there something more specific?
Well, yeah. The whole kind of theme for the blog is bringing the social aspect, the communication aspect into programming, basically. So yeah, you could say emotional intelligence. It's I guess that's kind of. I stumbled over your interview with Dave, and I just remember you had this drive to your voice, and it was a really good story. And I think you were the first episode I actually commented on.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So you got me commenting on Development Fire.
That's cool. That's cool.
So
you know what's interesting is this. It's kind of weird. You know, this is my first time living on planet Earth. Like, this is my first time I've actually like experienced life before. So I'm like learning all this stuff, right? How to interact with people. I am severely introverted, and I've never really been treated by a therapist or anything like that. So there's certain things that I may not pick up on when dealing with other human beings. That again, I'll like read the intro and a couple bodies, a couple paragraphs leading into some of the essays that you write, and I'm like, yeah, some of that makes sense to me. I didn't know what computer programming was initially, but one of the things that I identified was initially I don't have to interact with human beings. I'm just chopping it up with my computer, with my computer monitor. And it wasn't until I started going full throttle in my career. It wasn't until I started making the big bucks that all of a sudden, as one of my mentors told me, I realized that somehow it's not explicit in the job requirement, but I have to be a politician. I have to manage people's egos, right? And people have to manage my ego as well. And like that has been smacking me backhand, right hand, pimp slap, like for probably the past probably 48 months. And it's something that I don't think, well, I can't speak for other people, but it's something that really hit me hard that I don't think a lot of people that are very introverted, very focused, / antisocial, I don't think they would be prepared for. Did you face the same thing, or are you kind of more adaptive? Are you more in tune with human beings and this whole like emotional or social intelligence?
well, I am. For myself, I am pretty social. I am pretty open towards communicating with people, speaking to people. I'm not particularly good with small talk, but I mean I'm pretty open to having conversations, basically. getting to know people, and taking from there basically. So this is kind of been a realization I've had over the years when it comes to my roles in software teams. I've been kind of this natural glue that fits in between people. So in any given team, I'm like this. I serve as a kind of a hub basically for communication. I mean, you have like people which are pretty introvert on one side, some are pretty extrovert, or maybe they're with strong opinions and stuff. And I can filter those strong opinions down and make it more digestible for people and for other people. So I've unconsciously served that kind of role in the teams I've been in, and I've recently I realized that this is something I'm not good at, but at least something I do, and it's something I want to improve, which has kind of taken me down the path of exploring the more social aspects of software development.
Yeah, you're like when I look at your Twitter feed, you're like the psychologist for programmers. That's what it seems like, and that's not knocking you. It's something that obviously you identified some challenges that people like myself face, and I mean I'll give you a lot of props for like filling in that void. Um, with me, I'm like, I don't know. I just write things off. Like, I can't be an expert at everything. If it's not a hell yeah, then why am I doing it? You know what I mean? But it's something that, and I kind of touched on it. I don't like the way I represented myself on the last episode of Developer on Fire because I was coming. I feel like I portrayed myself as a victim. But the reason why I'm saying all this is when the dynamics are pretty much nothing but males, right? And not even males, but like really intelligent alpha geeks. Like I'm talking about like Star Trek, like Romulan type. You know what I mean? Like things get really crazy when it comes to like influencing people and like coming out with the right design, right solution. Like something that I I, I still think is a struggle, and we all have our personal experiences. But I had some major personal experiences as I just take the steering wheel of my career. Is people, and again, maybe this is my frustration. I'm venting. Maybe this isn't reality, but I feel like on the teams that I have worked with, at least here in Miami, also Pittsburgh, uh, somewhat Tampa, Florida as well. I feel like I'll keep using this illustration or analogy of prison, man.
Mm.
Like prison is whoever has the biggest muscles, right? And whoever, killed the most people, whoever has the worst record, right? Then they're the ones that are the alpha of the group. Within software shops, I feel like it's pretty much the person that just has the loudest voice, sometimes the most seniority.
Mm.
And the reason why I'm mentioning all this, what I'm trying to lead to is we all know, right? Or maybe I don't, but I've always believed that it is common knowledge that when you take people from diverse areas and collaborate, you have like you can rest assured that you're probably going to have a good enough design or solution because you're pulling in people with diverse backgrounds, experiences. But I feel like we're not really, or I'm not really observing that in this type of demographic, right, that makes up software development. Your thoughts on it, or is it just me? A lot of things are just me. I'm just curious what you think.
Well, that was a well. There are several things I've also experienced in regards to the dynamics of teams and how things kind of work together, how people work together. Basically, I've been on my initial initial job, as my first job, I was more or less left alone within a team, within a group of people. But I was a single silo basically, and I had to cope up with that, and that was fine. I built up some skills and moved along to my next job, which is where I'm working now. Actually, I've been job switching before that as well, but this is when I actually started working with web development and working together with people. And this was the case where I had a talk with one of my colleagues a few months ago, and we mentioned this, that we were 5 developers in the room, and we were sitting with our backs to each other, and we thought we were communicating, and we thought we were working together. And we realized that, I mean, once we actually started adopting agile processes, we started talking a lot with each other. Then the interactions kind of changed. We never struggled with kind of this alpha male type of thing. But I don't know if that's something to do with.
Maybe it's American. I don't know.
Well, not this job. I think it's in my next job. I broke off. I started consulting, so I've been a couple of years in a consulting gig for myself and a couple of others. And that's where I experienced a different environment. I was on a project with, I think, 30 developers, and we were located in 2 locations. And a lot of good people there, a lot of smart people. But I think we were a mix of 3 or 4 different consultancies, plus I was like freelancing in with a couple of others. And there was a ton of politics. There was so much politics. You could start swimming in politics, right? And there's like politics for the project. There's politics in regards to which office was going to decide things, which location, right? And there's politics around which consultancy got the different roles, who were the lead developers, and who decides architecture. It was
The architecture is the biggest one, man.
yeah.
People are trying to build their resumes, and I don't know. I'll let you finish. I'm listening.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. People, especially in these type of projects, in my experience, have been very focused on obviously doing their part, and more or less that's it. Doing their part and doing what suits them and their kind of resume, like you're saying, right? And then you get these small silos and people with different opinions, and you don't get real true cooperation. So this is something I've been struggling with earlier, and I was lucky enough to meet a couple of other developers who were with me in this project, and we hooked up, and we actually created a 3-man consultancy gig, and we really worked together in a different way. We met earlier in our previous job, but this is when we kind of got together as a group outside that. And it's something we learned a lot of things about working together, and I'm reaping the benefits of that now, basically. You know, I mean, the fact that we had the same vision in regards to architecture, we had the same approach in regards to what was valuable for testing, how we wanted to work together, the agile way, and that's been a really powerful influence in my life. And that's what I'm trying to bring with me, I think, with me now in my current role. Yeah.
So this is a 3-man consultancy right now. You guys are still together?
No. What happened is we ran out of work, so
Okay.
that kind of fell together a couple of years ago. Or, yeah, 1.5 years ago, something. So what I ended up with is I actually went back to my first or second job, actually. So that's where I'm currently. And I've been part of building up a team. Well, not building up a team. I've been part of a team which has been built up from 5-6 developers to now we're 50-60 developers for the past 2 years. We've ramped up. And I've been facing many challenges along the same lines, basically. But we've had such a great team and such good people on board that We focus on culture, we focus on values, we focused on the importance of the people, and that's kind of been like the thing which has made this work. I mean, we've hired like 40 developers, so of us are kind of, or not us, but on the team are consultants, and we really haven't experienced that much of those uh, um, those power fights, right?
Microphone check.
Sorry, I think I lost it, Scott.
All right, I hear you now.
Yeah, you were saying.
Oh, no. You were saying that internal struggles within an organization, you guys were starting to experience. So, yeah, I don't know if that comes with being a consultant and coming to a shop of full-time employees where, I don't know, it's kind of a negative subject whenever I talk about it. But I was just curious if I was the only person experiencing social dynamics, for lack of a better expression, or
Mm.
social challenges. But yeah,
I
it's
I think it's really common. I think it's a really really even within teams, even with like in-house teams. I think a lot of people do experience this because there are so many different opinions, and it's like you also mentioned, it's like people go into computer programming and they think that all they need is to communicate with the machine. And it's like you're saying, then reality comes and whack, you need to start to talk to people, right? So this is basically, I mean the blog, everything I'm doing now has been my self-realization that I've been doing some of this stuff naturally. I've been falling into other traps. I've been very negative in regards to stuff, and the blog has kind of been my therapy.
yeah,
So
it's been the same type of thing with me. John Samez, I was watching a video probably from like a month ago, and I was already blogging, but I found myself spending a lot of time. It would take me like I would be at Starbucks or Panera Bread. I don't know if they have that. What country are you in?
for Norway,
Norway. All right. I don't know if y'all got Starbucks and Panera Bread in Norway. Y'all got Starbucks. I don't know if
we
y'all
got
have
Starbucks.
Panera Bread
No, I
in
don't.
Norway. But it would take me about maybe up to 3.5, 4 hours just to crank out, I don't know, maybe like a 250 word article, right? It would be so draining. And there's a reason why I'm saying this because there's a word that you said. And I remember someone upon John Samus, who is the face of simpleprogrammer.com, whether you go to his website or you go to his YouTube, he's like the programmer's life coach. But
Mm.
anyway, he on one of his episodes, he explicitly challenged his subscribers, his followers, whatever you want to call it, to experiment with making videos. And
Mm.
again, when you mentioned like it's therapy, I don't know if you ever looked at my videos. I just throw slop on there. I don't care about editing. Like I'm somewhat insecure about how I sound. Like I probably sound really dumb right now, but in a way, man, between that and actually consuming the 10x rule that he also recommended, I'm like, yo, over time, if I develop a habit or a routine of doing this every day, every other day, I'm just going to internalize it, right? And
Mm.
so, yeah, it's become therapy. Like for me, it's a lot faster for me to pump out my thoughts on video. I could do it in like 45 minutes versus the 3.5 hours of me like I'm horrible in grammar. I have typos everywhere. Like so yeah, it's therapeutic, and it also helps me internalize what I've just learned, or how to say things a certain type of way. A lot of times when I'm speaking, I will automatically go into autopilot. And subconsciously, words are just coming out of my mouth without me really trying to focus on what I'm saying, right? And I think that's the best. That's kind of like when I get into the flow, my voice starts changing, etc. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I've seen a couple of your videos, Scott, and it's yeah, they have been raw around the edges. I
yeah,
guess
I
it's,
know.
but they've been actually pretty good. I mean, I haven't watched them from end to end, but I've been watching parts of it and watching part of it. And like, I love one of your intros where you kind of zoomed in onto a YouTube video and you can
Yeah,
zoom out again. That was
yeah. That's how I do intro music.
that was actually pretty good. But yeah, I can see how recording videos and recording sound kind of works is a lot faster. That's something because I also have the same problem with it takes so much effort, so much time to articulate your thoughts in a good way, and once they're on the paper, it's like, okay, then you have to communicate properly. And to translate, your emotions, your thoughts, everything through words, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Yeah,
Um,
it's probably worthwhile if you have, aspirations to writing a book and you compile all the technical articles that you wrote if it's within a certain area. But I don't plan on doing that. Um, so yeah, I like this new form, and it's like, yeah, I have a whopping 9 subscribers, but in a way, like I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it for me to put. There's a couple of things I'm doing it for.
mm,
One is to basically internalize what I have been consuming and attempting, right? And then the other part is I'm not sure how effective it is, but yo, I'm gonna bring you into my world, and I'm gonna show you what goes on through my head as I'm solving problems. I'm gonna share with you what I've learned. Look at my editor, right? Look at my code. Look at how I interact. Look at the conversation that I have with Visual Studio or whatever IDE that's in front of me. And so I'm giving employers and people that I might be working with, you know, basically, I'm taking them on a journey of what it's like to work with me, and then they can decide like, yo, I'm really feeling, how he interacts. I'm really feeling, how he describes a problem or the solution that he thought of. It might be a horrible solution, but the thing is I'm selling what it's like to work with me and to communicate with me, and that's probably the outside of therapy. That's something that I mean I think would go a long way. It might be completely wrong, but yeah, if I wanted to hire somebody or if I was investigating, my employer just tossed me this resume, and we're going to set up a tribunal to interview this guy. Oh, he has some videos. Okay, let me see what he's doing. Oh, he's writing some code. Oh, okay. I think that's gold.
mm.
If I were on the other end, but I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I've been on the other side of the interviewing process a couple of times, and one of the first things we do is actually Google the names. So it is like you're
What's that
saying.
like?
Yeah, that's
Is it either they have no web footprint at all, or like there's something that happened that they're not too proud of? Like, what's it like? Like, what's mainstream when you Google somebody's name?
mostly. I may get a LinkedIn page and maybe a Twitter account.
Okay.
That's like the very best. I've only been, positively surprised once, where I kind of found a blog. I found person interacting with the local community. I found them kind of, reaching out on Twitter and being active. That was like almost a no-brainer. So I mean, it's like I don't know if have you had done taken John Solomon's course for
N- No, I haven't. I bought his book, but I haven't actually purchased any of his programs. So I've been trying to convince him to have a retreat
Mm,
so that I could have a weekend with. If he could have a chosen few to spend a weekend with him, at some private retreat to do a workshop. He said that he was considering it, and then he stopped responding to me. So
mm. Well, maybe that'll happen.
yeah,
That would be cool, actually, right? But in that course, I've taken that, and that was actually pretty eye-opening for me in regards to the value of putting yourself out there. And it's basically what you're also saying, right? I mean, you leave footprint, you leave some trace of you on the internet, and people can get to know you, um, know more about you apart from your face or maybe your name, right? And that is really, really valuable. I mean, okay, some people may be turned off, but the thing is, that's fine as well. Because if they're not interested in what you have to say, that means you're not going to be interested in what they have to say either, right? They're probably not a match anyway.
yeah. I you know what I found? You're the first person that has actually responded to my invitation. Uh,
All right.
I have sent invitations to people that are in the tech industry that they're not even developers, but I respect them in regards to their knowledge because I used to work with them in the automation industry. There's even a couple uh, familiar names that are ahead of me within this industry in regards to like public spotlight and everything else. That's probably a lot of people.
Mm,
But what I found is, and I'm interested in your thoughts based on what you just said, right? Based on the context of what we're talking about. People, I have found that the people that I reach out to are terrified of putting themselves out there
mm.
and basically catching retribution, like sounding dumb, looking dumb. Um, I'm the same way. After a while, I'm like, yo, if I don't expose my growth opportunities, then who's gonna catch me? Who's gonna correct me and help me, right? But a lot of people, like when you talk about, they don't have a web footprint, a technical web footprint, whatever the right expression is. A lot of people, man, they don't want to put themselves out there because they're terrified that it's going to be locked
Mm.
in history of the internet, and they can never undo it. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really hear what you're saying in regards to, being afraid or being hesitant to put yourself out there. I've been terrified. I'm always terrified. It's especially in the beginning, right? The first blog post you put out there is like it takes ages to write. It took me weeks to actually hit publish, and I was like, hiding behind the screen. Who's going to throw throw crap at me first, right? I was like, but no one cared.
No one read it.
No one cared. No one read it. Like, oh, okay, what now? So I mean, it starts off really, really slow. And one thing I have, I remember your interview with Scott. No, not with Scott. With Dave on Development Fire, where you interviewed Dave.
Yeah, I wasn't
Um,
proud of that.
that was a good episode. So
Dude, I don't know how to interview people and not talk about myself. So like I wasn't really in flow with them. But anyway, I'm listening. I'm listening.
yeah, but I remember when he finished with his 3 tips, right? Um, one of them was punch fear in the face.
Yeah.
And that's
That's an
stuck with
amazing
me.
quote.
Yeah, that's stuck with me, and I've used it several times. I've quoted Dave, Dave in it each time. And I recently wrote a blog post on imposter syndrome, and it's basically something I struggle with myself, right? And
Why is that?
it is the fact that you doubt your own skills, right? It's there where you you are skilled in a certain area. You're skilled in a certain field. I have many years' experience in software development, and I am afraid of exposing myself as a fraud. I'm afraid of exposing myself, and people can see, oh, that's not how you write a unit test. That's why are you using that shortcut? Or basically the fact that the skills I've learned over the years aren't good enough. But I've proven to myself that I've gotten this far because I'm good at what I do. I'm eager to learn, and when I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. That's something that's something which is really valuable. Being able to say, look, I screwed up. I'm wrong. What I do now, and that's something people value a lot.
Or before you even become wrong, you be like, hey, I'm not really strong in this area, right? So can we have a conversation about this? Like, that goes a long way, man. Like, I mean, I do that. Like, I know what I know, and I believe my reality is I'm really good at it, but I'm not too comfortable in this area over here. Can we go to a conference room and draw on a whiteboard, because I really value what you think, And when you frame it like that, at least when I frame it like that, things go a lot easier. Things that I found don't work is, it works, but it's stressful, at least for me, is the first couple of days of starting a new contract, and you get assigned some task or some area of the project, and you're like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm not familiar with this technology. In a way, I think it's kind of good too, but it depends on who it is, right? What I do is, when I get freaked out, it was the same thing in college. I would barricade myself, in a study room, and like turn my phone off, and like I would be on suicide watch because it meant that much to me. You know what I mean? I would take a shower like every 45 minutes, and then go back to the study room, and then like take a shower again, because I can't go to sleep, man. I gotta get at least a B, or else it's over. The rest of my life is over. So I took the same type of mentality to my career, and it kind of works. Where like I'll just consume a 500-page book over the weekend, and I'll be like a little more than novice, when I finally take on my assignment on that Monday. But I find like, and here's something I'm curious about, right? When I'm kind of leaving the whole imposter syndrome thing, is, well, what do people do about it? I observe people that, and this annoys me, but I think it's normal. I have found that a significant number of programmers, or maybe just employees, period, they believe that it's the responsibility of the employer to educate them on software technologies or how to build software. Is there a fine line? Is there a like a gray area, or is it just one or another? Either you hold yourself accountable for learning. If you're an imposter, well, you need to pick it up over the weekend so that you can perform when you're on the clock. Or is there some responsibility that a company bears based on the selection of the tools that they mandate, some believe is mandated in order to build software? Your thoughts?
That's something I've been I've had thoughts on this earlier, and struggled with the fact that I felt that I guess I was, especially in my younger days, I was more what do you say, I had developed software development as a job from 8 to 4, right? That was my job. When I went home, I didn't spend time learning stuff. I didn't spend time watching videos or anything. and whatever I learned was on the job. And for some people, I think that's the preferred way of doing things, because software development is then not that important, except that obviously it's important enough for it to be their career. I mean, yeah, livelihood. But then, I mean, I guess they you'd expect, in that time to be trained, right? You expect to be sent on conferences, expect to be coursed up and taking certifications. But I've really over the years, especially if you go back to my story, when I picked up this when I moved away from and when I walked into consultancy gigs around that time, plus minus a few years, that's that's when I started realizing that there's more out there, right? That's when I discovered. I lose you there, Scott?
Yeah, I'm here. You were fading in and
Oh,
out.
all right. Sorry. So how far did I get there?
I think you were talking about a transition when you got into consulting.
Yeah. So just before that's when I kind of started discovering the value of, I think, Scott Hanselman. His podcast has really been an early inspiration for me. And that's when I realized that there's more to software development than just what's on the job. There's more. I mean, you need to put in the effort.
I'm looking at your bookshelf, and I think I see a Steve McConnell Code Complete. I think I see a Michael Feathers Refactoring Legacy Code. You can tell I'm a geek.
Good.
I actually hang out with him like once a month at a coffee shop, Michael Feathers, man. He learned that I'm a groupie of his, and so he's nice enough to chop it up with me at the coffee shop every once in a while. But yeah, my library is huge, man. I'm actually thinking about throwing away some books, because I still have hard copy books on my bookshelf that I need to get rid of, but I don't want to throw them away. I usually drop them off at a library and just drive off.
But this is my library, right? This is what I have in regards to books. It's not that much. I've basically, books haven't been the best way for me to learn, I guess. I spent a lot of time being hands-on and stuff, learning on the job, and also learning through internet resources, basically. So that's kind of how and also having a couple of really good people around me that have guided me along the way, and still do. Yeah.
Is that in Norway, or is that like just the internet and people that have been like virtual mentors to you, or whatever the right term is?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say they were mentors, but I guess they had served that role. Yeah, it's basically been people in person at the work, in the jobs I've been in. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I think it's been 40 minutes, and
Wow.
I don't know what time it is over there, but we spent 20 minutes trying to get this set up, whatever technical difficulties we were experiencing, or I was experiencing. But I mean, I think this was a productive session that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. What are you up to now? What should we, if you care to disclose? Is there anything that you want some people to look for in the near future that you might be producing, or that you're focusing on?
In regards to in regards to stuff I'm actually punching out. Yeah. No, I've been on this weekly thing. I blog every week, and that's something I'm going to be continuing to do.
Cool.
And that's but I mean, last week I had a guest blog post from Zombie Code Kill. Kevin O'Shaughnessy, I think his name is. I can't pronounce it properly, but yeah. And that's also been an interesting thing, having a guest blog a guest post on the blog. I was thinking, oh wow, there could be something more to this site than just me posting my thoughts. So I don't know, it's very early in the game. I don't have a following in that sense. I have a few people that do read it. Once I read it regularly, um, but that's it. So I don't know. Let's see. I'm focusing on the blog. I'm focusing on pumping out content there, learning by doing so. I've been thinking about doing videos, but I haven't figured out what to do in the moment, basically. So
Oh, maybe this is a start. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
possibly. Let's see.
Uh,
So
all right,
so
Pavneet.
yeah, sure. So
I keep wanting to say Pavneet. But good stuff. And thanks for having a conversation with me. We're pretty far away, but we're connected at the same time. And I'm
the
out.
wonders, yeah, the
So
wonders of internet, right? Yeah,
what's that?
the wonders of internet, right? I mean,
Yeah, man, this is like so space age. It's amazing what separates humans from the rest of all living things on planet Earth. Um, it makes you wonder why.
hmm.
But hey, what's the name of your blog?
So that's codingwithempathy.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good stuff. Oh, and if you care to put it out there, if you want followers or not, what's your Twitter name?
Yeah, so there we go. So I'm at Pavsound, Pavsaund on Twitter. And that's basically my username everywhere. So on GitHub or whatever.
All right, Pavneet. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, and hopefully we can catch up in the future, whenever.
Whatever.
But yeah, I have to run some errands, so I have to like handle some business. But take care. Thanks for being patient with me as I, try to get this thing set up. This is my first time doing this thing, and I kind of grew from it. So like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was a fun process, Scott. So thank you for having me, and let's speak some more. I guess it's I think it's really interesting to gain your perspective as well. I think this is definitely a something I've also learned a few things through.
my perspective is pretty warped, but okay. Uh,
But that also gives me perspective, right? So
yeah, yeah. All right, well, good stuff. Adios. I appreciate it. Ugh, I'm about to hit the stop broadcast button, and I wonder what that's going to do. I'm just going to hit it. 3, 2, 1.